Oh yeah, there's a chance that we use the green zone and red zone like we did yesterday. These levels could be used in conjunction with each other. So ultimately my goal is to get us through the red zone. And they've made like a little node on the view app up there as well. So testing that's going to be on the table. Yesterday we used that red zone more so as a green zone. You know, when we were bouncing up off of it, it took a long time. We just basically came back for all those people again. There was a prolonged consolidation at this level when we were here yesterday. Honestly, the gray bar that is coming through, that's the one that really ends the relationship with the red yellow line. Like when we broke it, it first went to the green and then it went to the red, and the next thing that we're gonna have to deal with is gonna be the gray bar, because we're gonna have to make it through these 61s, the big yellow line right there. It's quite possible that we double this range and treat it the same way too, like almost like we have another one going on. Like I'm tempted to blue bar this and see what the potential is for the run. Yeah, like up here. Thing about those ones is they're not on a steep angle, which is nice actually. I like that. Many of these other ones, you can notice that the angles are very steep, no? And this one is not. More interested in it getting through the gray bar so we could get to the yellow one. The gray bar, I'm interested in it making change, and it could cause a consolidation, like a brutal one like this. So if we wanted to repeat, you know, this consolidation on top of it, so we're smashing it from above, that wouldn't surprise me. But then I'd like to see us continue to the gold bar and to this gray bar beyond. Because the break of this yellow line in theory is associated with that gray bar. Lately, a lot of them haven't been working really well. Like since we've been inside this area, since this whole area started, like I'm noticing that, you know, they can break the red yellow line and get to the gray bar without moving anywhere. And like break the red yellow line and still get to the gray bar without moving anywhere. That's brutal. That's absolutely terrible. Because it means it doesn't matter if you're exposed from the break of the blue line or the break of the blue bar. By the time that you get to the gray, you haven't really even made much. You know what I mean? And that's not how it used to be. It used to go very far away from the red yellow line and be a great profit when it hit the gray one. Still so interesting that they haven't managed to get the B point down below. Almost at the B point now. It is at the B point. This can become red yellow. We know that even still, any stops dragged above that red bar are subject to getting sniped out, so we have to be careful with that. It shouldn't affect anybody's trade from the morning though. Of course, the 61 was missed again, wasn't it? And 61 is just at the bottom of the red zone. Back at the long-term view app. We've also made it incredibly even around each side of the original, you know, making that space that we used in the middle, on the top and on the bottom. And the fact that it didn't come down to get the 61 shows that the red zone was the thing that it was interested in, not the fib, or it would have hit it. And by not getting to the fib, it shows that they don't want people in, because you know, they could expect a whole batch of new people just to be piling in as soon as you give them a 61. We can also take off this B point. Like where we are right now is inside of the range from yesterday, basically. Using it. You see that? One from yesterday. Crazy we didn't grab the 61 yet. Basically using that old range. The other chart reads like this. Still using the support line and the red zone that we've been using. It has been known in the past for the green zone and red zone to be used together, and that's absolutely fine. That's what I'm looking for. Doesn't affect anybody that took it below the red zone. Almost at the break of the red yellow line. Not bad. What a nice day. Some might not be able to make it through it because they think that it's not happening now. This is the day where the institutions are pushing the buttons. They want everyone out of the way, and they knew they couldn't take that chop, so now here we are, like it never happened. Like it never happened. Let's see how far this can go. Like it's off the screen. Like we could blow through the high of this chart. If any stocks are dragged above the red-yellow line, they could be sniped in the future. And the red-yellow line is something that keeps falling over time. So until we're absolutely clear of it, there's a risk that we try to retest it. It's just like, if that stops you out, we're going to keep running after it most likely. And buying in from the halfway point, being in the middle of the consolidation, might not be as safe as where you're in from now. So yeah, like I put it in the chat, literally, like, so everyone can even see it. We're really at the brink of a breakout here, and it broke out immediately. It's phenomenal, really extraordinary. We can look at the other chart too, different slightly, less information, but it shines a light on how we didn't get to the 61. It's kind of strange. Didn't let them have it. Didn't want them in. But you can see it's like a singular entity moved the market to break the trend. It wasn't like everyone just signed on at 1 o'clock. The red zone loves to get tapped from above. That's one thing, like in this area, with that being so close, we want to watch out for. Like, another tip for it would be any hedges that are ever taken must be made safe by the moment we hit the red zone. Not that any hedges should be really taken very aggressively. I think the green bar is the most important up top because it leads to the gray one, and the gray one breaking leads to the gold one even farther above that, and obviously to that gray one, which is basically the same thing. You know what this reminds me of though? I'll tell you one thing. Let's go back to the daily for a second. This is what it reminds me of right here. Like what we did on that pullback there, basically. We went up, made a downtrend. The downtrend broke. It was like that trend. It is that trend, actually. Kind of strange. But this environment here also reminds me of it. Yeah, it's like that. Like we lifted off from the ground, made a trend like that, which is also very similar. The support lines, I'm like, you know, it's got like, it's prying on naive people, in my opinion. The supports have been just readjusted and readjusted and readjusted. At the end of the day, it's all something that's easy to hold through, hard to catch if you do get out of it. I mean, it's not necessarily hard to catch, but it just means you have to be working, whereas you otherwise could be exposed and not have to take any risk. But sometimes it's absolutely obvious that it's gonna bounce like it was there. I mean, how could you not? If I'm like, you know, we're on the brink of a breakout and it's like, you know, got a long-term target of hundreds of points that could be seen throughout the day. Like, what if we just do this move? What if we did that move right here? Everything that we did there, out of the top, where would we be? Oh yeah, my gold bar. Coincidence? I don't know. Let's see. This line's like in the way. I'm gonna turn it down. Because you can see how much grief it's giving the people that wanted it to break. Deja vu, no? Remember when I had the shitty small one on the bottom and it was solid on the top? That's like that. It's like a smaller version of it. Literally reminds me of it. And also, we've just hit a green bar. The green bar has to do with this red yellow line. It'll be the first time that we don't go to retest it if we don't. Not that I'm rooting for it to retest, so it's just more like a brace for impact kind of thing. You know, it would be a relatively aggressive hedge, but getting back to a steeply declining red-yellow line is harder in some cases than it looks, but I mean, it wasn't over here. I just think times are changing. You know, like that was relatively steeply inclining as well, but we came up and sniped that green and came back to it pretty hard like that. So, and the thing is we did it finally over here too. When we broke this big red-yellow line, it came up and sniped the green and came back down like super hard and smashed everybody, right? So nothing to give the long trade up over though. It definitely should be well profitable and profit can be taken, but the institutions will continue the agenda from what it looks like. Like it'll be on the click of a button by a singular entity that will decide us to get out of this consolidation, which is a really crappy consolidation, you know, like it's one of those kinds of consolidations where they go across the same level on every single 1 minute candle. This will end. Breaking to the red, that's the idea. You know, once we're done with the green one, we move on to the red one, then we get to the gray one. The gray one is there as well. So you can see there's a long-term gray one that we haven't hit up here. And all of these levels have to break in order to get us to the gold at the top. Every single one of them. Not a single one survives. And this is more brutal than the triangle, ironically. Like the triangle, at least, I think it gets people to guess. They try to guess which direction it's going to go. They think that the triangle is a trading pattern like any other trading pattern, and they think it means up or down. And that's a huge mistake, in my opinion. You know, it's luck that will soon run out if they do get out of the triangle. I mean, just look at how they're treated anyways. Like the people that bought out of this triangle, we smack. People that sold out of this triangle, we smack. I'm like, it doesn't like them. Those are like punishment zones. Unfortunately. I mean, the best thing about them is when they're done, you know, because like the movement just keeps contracting until it gets to nothing. And I mean, at least that's better than just straight up no movement like what we got right now. But this kind of movement, it's easy to hold through. And if it starts blasting from the high again, guess what? We're not going to get any chasers. I don't think people are going to chase through the high. But sometimes it's absolutely obvious that it's going to bounce like it was there. I mean, how could you not? If I'm like, you know, we're on the brink of a breakout and it's like, you know, got a long-term target of hundreds of points that could be seen throughout the day. Like, what if we just do this move? What if we did that move right here? Everything that we did there out of the top, where would we be? Oh yeah, my gold bar. Coincidence? I don't know. Let's see. The institutions will continue the agenda from what it looks like. Like, it'll be on the click of a button by a singular entity. But this kind of movement, it's easy to hold through. And if it starts blasting from the high again, guess what? We're not going to get any chasers. I don't think people are going to chase through the high. And a lot of people are going to get stopped out when we get above that 188. Now just remember, when we come back down from the 261 or anywhere above it, we can hit that 188-200 from above because it will be a B point as well. So we have to understand that. It's almost like they've like used this average counter trend move. We could make that on top of here relatively easily. You know, so having that up here, due to the fact that we haven't had it yet, could be relatively easy. Also, I wonder whether or not this is the beginning of a paddle pattern, and everything that we're doing that's choppy on top of that red zone gets annihilated. Like, think about how we did the morning. Rush up to the red zone, and then we went chop, 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 and then everything that was choppy got annihilated. And isn't that interesting? And what are the odds it's just simply this daily chart that we were looking at before? Look at that thing, man. That's crazy if we do that. I see a lot of similarities, ironically. Like, there's a ton of people that are also trapped in here. They're going to have stops up in this area up here, and they're all going to get triggered. And the institutions might even put a little bit of buying pressure on top of it to try and entice more people to buy. And it's not going to be a safe place in the future to have bought, because we're likely going to come back to this B point. So anything that's bought and excitement past this point is probably going to lead back to that one. Gotta watch out for that. The bunch of stops just got popped right there. Anyone that was holding short from any point in the day basically was liquidated. And when that becomes the case, the best thing to have been doing is holding. Because when the short stops get popped at the high of day, there's no better way to benefit than to be holding long. I mean, what are the odds we treat the red zone like we did this one? You know, we're allowed to. I mean, when it comes down to this B point here, is it allowed to slip through a little bit and hit this one? Oh yeah, it is. So beware of dragging stops above any red zone until we're completely away from it in this area. I'll tell you that right now. And this trend, just know how many people are freaking trapped in that thing, eh? Like, all those people in there, absolutely screwed. And they're going to be turned into liquidity when we get to the B point. And these are B points now too, so I'm going to put them in there. They're not urgent though. Like, I'm like worried that they're not going to freaking hit off of normal levels. Like, they're going to be weird, underrated, kind of crappy levels, or something dodgy about its return. But this level up here, like when we come up down from that level, it's not going to look like anything but like a 141, 127 or something. And really, it's the 261 to the 200 and 188. Where, yeah, sure, there's still a risk that the 261's associated with its B point. And you know the destination is to get to the gray bar. And that's where we got on the longer term one, like this big long-term gray bar that broke on this red-yellow line. That's the gray bar to it. To this red-yellow line. And to this range right here. And now it's like, wow, look at how well it works. Look at how well we can actually break out of this thing and go all the way up. Because it not working didn't dampen my idea of it working. I never said that it was going to stop working or that it wasn't going to be something I was interested in. I'm very interested in it working, very interested in it getting to it. I mentioned that we had to break every single one of these levels in order to get up here. We had to break every single one of them. And we got one left, ladies and gentlemen, before we're at the gold bar up top there. That 261's the next one. It's the next one. And that's before the gold bar above. And literally, the 261, you want to know how badass it is? It threatens to take back the entire run. If it does, it would only be working the way it usually does. And I mean, like, does that mean that it's good to put your guard up around times where that thing could have such a great impact? I mean, yeah, it very well could make a lot of sense. One thing's for sure is like, you know, we're well on track to making this move happen again for the time that we were supposed to when I mentioned that before, and it is, in fact, on a very good trajectory towards that. It's working quite well. Now the question really becomes, is it a risk, or no, not a risk, is it a problem of some sort if we start to break the trend around a level that could offer so many points in the event that it works? Are we going to get on top of them and smack them from above like they're a red zone? You know, that would be insulting to them for sure, 100%. But I mean, look at what kind of plan they're standing away of. Clearly there's an agenda here, no? And what are they short, you think? Losing money? No freaking chance. They're making tons of money going long, right? We could all agree. I'm like, so going against, like, shorting the 261 is going against them. I mean, it is true to a certain extent. Doesn't mean we can't pull back off of it. It's something they might be looking for a hedge on themselves. You know, we're gonna see what the people respond to it like before we make any decisions, though. And sure, it looks like a lot of hocus pocus with all those B points in there, like chaotic analysis. When I look at it and I'm like, what do you think I should take off? I'm like, you need to understand that everything in there means something, and just because you don't understand what it means doesn't mean it's not important. That's the irony. If there was a risk I was drawing things because they look nice, you'd have a problem. You know, I'm not an artist though. I'm actually terrible at drawing. So, you know, those B points are in fact all untested. And if you don't see it that way, it's like, wow, it should be shockingly clear that there's like, whoa, look at all those friggin' B points that they left doing this trend. Like, what a plan, eh? Just like busting the door down and just like walk all over everyone, why don't you? You know what I mean? That's the impression I get right there. It's like, okay, what's gonna happen to people that are late? Oh, that's the next question. Is this the end to the environment that we've been in? You know, you can see those, that's kind of conflicting ideas, but we do need to think about all of those things. Like, what are the odds we have a pullback? What are the odds it is the end of this environment? If we pull back, what are the odds it just bonks everyone on the head? We're not coming back to chill. We're coming back to just use them as a stepping stone to get into the next plan, from what I can see. Because you know what's funny is the institutions are interested in putting it down again. They're interested in actually making the market move to targets that make a lot of sense, that I could say are not the product of any individual human being understanding exactly what's going on. And certainly not some sort of band of individuals working together. I just won't have it. At the end of the day, I can see that it is an institutional plan, and their plans have fit the plan that I've stated since the beginning of the day today, that we would do this and break out, and that everything is going to be bought out ultimately. From the moment that level was created, I knew it was bullshit, everything we did beneath it. 462 points down, that's it. The B point was. And just remember, you know, like, the first thing I posted today, like, is this right here, 9:42 a.m. The same situation as yesterday. Gold bar is up top, my bad. Let's go to it. Like, amazing. You know, it's definitely very clear. And even yesterday, you know, like, the name of the game is to get to the gold bar. Anybody still in from yesterday has a better price than anyone from today, you know? Like, that's just the way it goes. You didn't have to take a single risk today if you held from yesterday. If you're holding from any other time for that matter. But this is it. The fund is worth just as much as it was before, except all those people aren't long anymore.